The chair sat in the corner of the waiting room, green fabric worn thin on the armrests. She'd been sitting in it for 11 minutes. The clock on the wall ticked loud enough to hear. She wasn't supposed to be here. She had a presentation at 2, 3 emails she hadn't answered, a conference call at 4 with people in 3 different time zones, but her hand had been numb for 2 days. Just the left one, probably nothing. Probably she'd slept on it wrong. The nurse called her name at 2:14. She'd missed the presentation. She was 51 years old. She ran a consulting firm with offices in 4 cities, 237 employees. She woke up at 5:30 every morning and went to sleep around midnight. She drank her coffee black. She hadn't taken a vacation in 3 years. That wasn't partially a work trip. The doctor was younger than she expected. He asked questions and sent her for tests. More waiting, different chairs. She answered emails on her phone, rescheduled the conference call. Everything handled. The tests came back inconclusive. Could she come back Thursday? She checked her calendar. Thursday she had back-to-back meetings from 8 to 6, dinner with a client at 7. She said Thursday was fine. That night she stood in her kitchen and realized she couldn't remember what she'd eaten for dinner the night before. She opened the refrigerator. Takeout containers, yogurt from 2 weeks ago, a bottle of wine she'd bought for a party she'd been too busy to throw. Her daughter had called 3 times last week. She'd meant to call back. Call Sarah was on her to-do list somewhere near the bottom between review Q3 projections and dentist appointment. Sarah was 26. She lived across the country. She worked at a nonprofit doing something with environmental policy. The salary was terrible. She'd tried to explain her work once over Christmas, but her phone kept buzzing, and eventually Sarah had stopped talking. Thursday came. More tests. The numbness had spread to her forearm. The doctor said stress could do remarkable things to the body. Did she experience a lot of stress? She almost laughed. They scheduled more tests for the following week. She nodded and added it to her calendar between a board meeting and a site visit. That weekend, she was supposed to fly to Atlanta for a conference, leadership panel. She'd said yes 4 months ago because it was good for the brand. Saturday morning at 6 a.m., she was at the airport. She bought coffee and opened her laptop. The presentation was already done, but she read through it anyway. She'd given versions of this talk 100 times. Leadership, vision, resilience. Her phone rang. Her ex-husband. Sarah's in the hospital, he said. The terminal disappeared. What happened? Car accident. She's okay. She's going to be okay. But they're keeping her overnight. Where? San Francisco, 3,000 miles from where she was sitting. I'm boarding in 20 minutes. I'll change my flight. She asked me not to call you. The words sat between them. Why? She said you'd just try to manage it, turn it into a problem you could solve. She said she didn't want that right now. The gate agent announced boarding for first class. Is she really okay? Concussion, bruised ribs, but yes. She closed her laptop. Tell her I love her. You should tell her yourself. I will. But she didn't. She boarded the plane. She went to Atlanta. She gave the presentation. People nodded. After the panel, 3 people gave her their cards. Sunday night, she flew home. Monday morning, she was back in the office by 7. The new tests were Wednesday. She got there early and sat in the same green chair. The fabric was torn now on the left armrest. The doctor looked tired. He sat down, and she knew before he said anything, not dying, not yet. But something was wrong, something neurological, something that would require treatment and lifestyle changes. Did she experience a lot of stress? How many hours did she work per week? He used words like chronic and progressive. He said people lived full lives with this, but they had to make adjustments, reduce stress, listen to their bodies. She nodded. She took the pamphlets. She walked out to her car and sat in the parking lot. 49 new emails. She called Sarah. It rang 4 times. Hi, Mom. Hi, sweetheart. I heard about the accident. Are you okay? Dad told you not to call. He told me you asked him not to tell me. Silence. I'm fine, Sarah said. Headache, sore, but fine. I wanted to come. I should have come. You had your conference. That doesn't matter. It always matters. The words hung there, true. I'm sorry, she said. For what? For everything. For the recitals she'd missed. For the phone calls she didn't return. For the vacation to Hawaii when Sarah was 12, where she'd spent half the time in the hotel business center. For not being there. Sarah didn't say anything for a long time. Then, you were building your company. I get it. Do you? No, but I'm trying to. I got some news today, she said, about my health. She told Sarah about the diagnosis. Are you scared? Sarah asked. No one had asked her that. Yes, she said. Do you want me to come home? I want to see you because I miss you. When was the last time you told me that? She couldn't remember. That night she looked at her calendar. The next 6 weeks were color-coded blocks, meetings, calls, travel, a grid of obligations stretching forward. She opened her laptop, started writing an email to her deputy, then stopped. What do you say when you've spent 27 years building something and suddenly you're not sure why? Tuesday morning, she called her team together. She told them she was taking a leave. She needed to deal with some health issues. She needed to rest. They looked at her like she'd spoken in a language they didn't understand. After they left, she sat alone in the conference room. The whiteboard still had notes from last week's strategy session. Revenue projections, market expansion, her handwriting in blue marker. She erased it all. Sarah flew in Thursday. They went to lunch at a place Sarah picked, small, loud. They ordered sandwiches and didn't talk about work. Sarah told her about the nonprofit, the policy campaign, how they'd gotten a city council member to sponsor their bill. She talked for 20 minutes and her eyes lit up. She listened, actually listened, didn't check her phone. You're really happy doing this, she said. Yeah, Sarah said, I am. Even with the salary? I make enough. I don't need much. She thought about her own apartment, the view she never looked at, the furniture she'd hired someone to pick out. I don't think I know how to do that, she said. Do what? Need less. Sarah looked at her. When was the last time you did something just because you wanted to? She couldn't think of an answer. They walked after lunch, just walked. Sarah pointed out things. A dog in a window, a mural, a tree growing through the sidewalk. I used to love walking with you, Sarah said, when I was little. I remember. When did we stop? She knew exactly when. Sarah was 9. She'd gotten the promotion, regional director. She told herself it was temporary, that she'd find balance once things settled down. Things never settled down. That night, Sarah stayed over. They ordered pizza. Sarah fell asleep during the movie. She watched her daughter breathe. She looked like she had at 7, at 12, at 16. All those years passing, all those moments she'd been somewhere else. The next morning, Sarah had to fly back. They hugged at the door. Sarah held on longer than usual. Take care of yourself, Mom. I will. I mean, really take care of yourself. After Sarah left, the apartment was quiet. She sat at her kitchen table. No laptop, no phone, just sat. The view from her window showed the building across the street, office windows. She could see people at their desks, even on Saturday. She'd been one of them. But sitting there, watching, she felt like she was seeing it from somewhere else. People running on a wheel that never stopped turning. The first week was strange. She woke up at 5:30 from habit and then remembered she had nowhere to be. She made coffee, watched the sun come up. She started walking. Through neighborhoods she'd driven through 1,000 times, but never seen. She noticed things. The bakery that opened at 6. The man who walked 3 dogs every morning. She bought groceries, actual groceries. She made dinner and ate it slowly. Tasted it. She called her mother. Her mother was 83. "I was going to call you," her mother said. "I haven't heard from you in 3 weeks. I know, I'm sorry. You're always sorry." It wasn't mean, just true. They talked for an hour. Her mother told her about the neighbors, the garden, the book club, small things. "You sound different," her mother said. Different how? Slower. 2 weeks in, she flew to see her mother. Just flew. No meetings, no conferences. Her mother cried when she opened the door. They spent 3 days together. Cooked meals, looked through old photos, sat in the garden. Her mother showed her tomatoes she'd grown. "Your father grew tomatoes," her mother said. "Every summer he'd spend hours out here." Her father had died 12 years ago, heart attack. She'd flown in for the funeral, flown out 2 days later. She'd been in the middle of a merger. "I don't remember that," she said. "You were always working, even when you came home. You were here, but you weren't here. I'm sorry." "I know, sweetheart. I know." That night, she lay in her childhood bedroom. She thought about her father in the garden, growing tomatoes. She thought about Sarah asking when was the last time she'd done something just because she wanted to. What had she been pushing toward? The promotion, the title, recognition, respect, the proof that she mattered. But what was lasting? Not the contracts, not the revenue. Those things were already being handled by someone else. The machine kept running. It didn't need her. What lasted were the moments, the walks with Sarah, the phone calls she didn't return, her father in the garden, her mother waiting for calls that came every few weeks. The time she'd traded wasn't coming back. She'd thought she was building toward freedom, toward the moment when she could finally rest, be present. But that moment was never coming, because being present wasn't something you earned. It was something you chose every day, and she'd been choosing something else. When she got back, she called a realtor, put the apartment on the market, found something smaller on the ground floor with a small patio. She bought plants, a tomato plant. Sarah called one evening. They talked for 2 hours about nothing, about everything. She started sleeping better. The numbness in her arm began to fade. 4 months into her leave, her deputy called. The Singapore deal had closed. Would she come to dinner to celebrate? She said congratulations, and then she said no thank you. After she hung up, she sat on her patio. The tomato plant had a flower, just one, small, yellow. Her father would have been excited about that flower, would have checked on it every day. She understood now. The point wasn't the tomato. The point was noticing the flower. 6 months in, she officially resigned. They asked what she was going to do next. She said she didn't know yet. Sarah visited for a week. They walked every morning. On the last night, Sarah said, "I'm proud of you, Mom." For what? For stopping. The tomato plant produced 3 tomatoes that summer, small, imperfect. She and her mother ate them on sandwiches. Her mother said they were the best tomatoes she'd ever tasted. At night now, she slept, really slept. And when she woke up, she didn't reach for her phone. She made coffee, sat on the patio, watched the sky change colors. She'd believed for so long that stopping meant giving up, that rest was weakness, that presence was something you earned after you'd achieved enough, but achievement never ended. There was always another level, another proof that you mattered. And in chasing it, she'd missed the one thing that actually did. She'd been so afraid of being ordinary, of having a small life. And now, sitting on her patio with dirt under her fingernails and nowhere to be, she understood that she'd had it backwards. This was the life. And she'd almost missed it entirely.